Hey guys, in today's video I want to talk about carbohydrate intake. All right, so this is kind of as a kind of a second video in the series after protein intake, because this tends to be a topic of a lot of discussion and controversy within the diet world. So I want to start by saying carbohydrate intake will vary to a large degree based off of a number of different factors. Okay, it's kind of a spectrum. Okay. On one side of the spectrum, we have our high carb people over here. These are high level athletes, okay? Football players, soccer players, lacrosse players, hockey players, people that are go, go, go real fast, lots of calorie output throughout the day, triathletes, things of that nature. Probably pretty darn high carbohydrate intake people, okay? On this side of the spectrum, we have our lower carb people. These are people that maybe are trying to lose a little bit of weight. Maybe they're, in a phase in their training where, they're a little bit, maybe their activity level's down a little bit. Those are the main considerations. You also have people that just are generally a little bit smaller in size. So let's think about like the smaller female, for example. It could be a male too, all right, that's trying to lose weight. They're probably going to be more on the lower carb spectrum of things, all right, or side of the spectrum of things, okay? So in terms of giving these sides of the spectrum like hard, concrete numbers, I don't necessarily want to do that, but I want to give you kind of a range, okay? So low carb people, they might be, if they're ketogenic in nature, that's going to be, probably under 20, 30 grams of carbs a day. That's pretty nuts if you ask me. People that are, again, eating carbohydrates but want to lose weight or have another reason that they want to be low carb, maybe that's 50 to 75 grams of carbs a day. That's only 200 or so calories per day from carbohydrate, okay? That can range all the way up to, I've seen bodybuilding diets and even, triathlete diets of, 4, 5, 6, 800 grams of carbs in a day, okay? So that's a lot. It's a lot of carbohydrate fueling a lot of activity, okay? So that's kind of our range that we're looking at. And I'm sure people have gone higher and people have gone lower. Okay, but most people are going to end up in there somewhere. I will say carbohydrate intake is a huge lever that we can pull on to change not only performance, but body composition. Okay, so if let's say I'm a male and I'm trying to lose weight. Right now I'm eating 3,500 calories a day and I'm gaining weight and I need to make that calorie total, let's say 2,800 or 3,000, whatever it happens to be. Okay, it's personal to me, or personal to my goals, I should say, not me specifically. The way I do that, I'd like to keep protein about 1 gram per pound body weight, just like we talked about in our last video. But I can turn the dial a little bit on carbohydrates. Say I'm having 400 grams of carbs. If I cut that to 200 grams of carbs and can still maintain my weight training, my cardio sessions, things of that nature, I just cut 200 grams worth of carbs out of my diet, which is 800 calories. That's pretty darn good. That accounts for almost the entire deficit right there. That means I can keep my protein and my fats the exact same as it was and just dial down the carbs a little bit. I don't always recommend people do that, but it is an option, okay? So that's kind of what it does for someone, like me, okay? Or of my size. If I'm a smaller female and I'm looking to compete in a triathlon, okay? And say right now I'm trying to maintain my weight down here pretty low, maybe 110, 120, something like that. And I want to increase the amount of work I do out on the bike or on the running trail or in the pool, whatever it happens to be. I'm going to probably need to increase my carbohydrate intake to match that level of output. Okay, so say I'm burning 1,200 calories a day, I'm probably going to need to add in a good portion of that through carbohydrate intake. Some of that will be protein, some of that will be fats. But for the most part, it's going to be carbohydrates replenishing what I've burnt so far. Okay, so you can kind of see that there's a large spectrum of carbohydrate needs in athletes or in body composition minded individuals, okay? And there's not one carbohydrate level is perfect for everybody, okay? And I would argue even, within, if you look up calculators that say, okay, you need 300 grams of carbs a day, you will still find some variance in personal preference. Some people are like, what, if I go underneath 150 grams of carbs a day, I feel like crap. So I don't really want to go beneath that. Maybe I can peel back some fat. Okay, so in my other example earlier, say I get a recommendation for 300 grams of carbs and I feel bloated and kind of like, I'm putting on weight. I just don't feel good on this. My workouts are not good. I can reduce that and add in some fat or add in some protein and kind of, compensate for that. Okay, so carbohydrate intake is a huge lever that we can pull on to change body composition and also change performance. Okay, now we have to kind of be careful with both of those variables over time, especially for our athletes. All right, you don't want to try to, let's say again, for a triathlete example, we don't want to cut carbohydrates as we increase activity. All right, because we're setting ourselves up for a huge deficit, tons of weight loss initially, and our performance will tank over time. So it's a nice lever to pull on to increase performance by adding carbohydrates and adding workload, or peeling back carbohydrates, reducing body composition or reducing body fat, reducing calories, all right, and then, going on to our next goal from there. Okay, so if you have questions about carbohydrate intake, I know I was kind of general with the numbers that I gave just because there's a lot of different situations for different people. If you have questions about this stuff, feel free to reach out to us. We do nutrition consultations. We can help set up a diet for either performance-based people or body composition-minded folks. So don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.